Today's episode is on content creation for the LinkedIn platform, which again has a very different intention than Facebook, Instagram, and mainstream social media being a professional network. LinkedIn also presents opportunities that few other platforms present, in that there's not a lot of content creators and people posting frequently. So there's low-hanging fruit where you can get on the platform, start adding value and sharing ideas, and quickly become a thought leader or destination source of value in your local sector or industry, depending on what you want to use LinkedIn for. And to provide a little bit of context, one of the agencies that I own and operate is the digital marketing agency.com.au, which specializes in the LinkedIn platform. And there are two sides to the table of what we do there. One is business development, so creating business relationships, joint venture opportunities, partnerships that ultimately add new revenue streams to business owners. But the second side to the service is the content creation, which ultimately positions businesses and individuals on the LinkedIn platform and quickly makes them stand out in their industry. And we've got to see so many different examples of that over the last, let's call it 4 to 5 years, where we've really specialized in the LinkedIn space. And more often than not, there's been businesses that have jumped on the platform with a low base or from scratch and has quickly been able to dominate and become a standout company on LinkedIn in their sector just because of the low level of activities that most people put into it. And I'll share the stats just so you can see how easy it's going to be if you have a place for content on LinkedIn to be in the elite category. So there's just over 300 million active monthly users on LinkedIn. And of those 300 million, only 3 million post once a week or more, which is 1%. So 99% of users on LinkedIn are not posting weekly, which means by simply jumping on LinkedIn and sharing content once a week minimum, which for me is baseline. If you're going to create content, you're automatically in 1%. The key though is to understand who you're posting content for, just like with any strategy. Are you posting it for business purposes? Are you wanting to build up your own profile in an industry and become a thought leader? Because they're two very different strategies. And you can also have a content strategy for a business through a company page and also have a personal content strategy, just like I do on the platform. So my Aaron Witnish content that goes on LinkedIn is from a personal brand, whereas we also post to our company profiles, which is more business specific, and there is some crossover from time to time. And what's really exciting is whenever we've had a client that's in a relatively small space or they specialize in a narrow field, within the space of a month or a few weeks, they've become the standout in their local industry, because very few other people were posting content on that subject matter. A great case in point, one of our clients is in rail engineering, and within the first couple of posts, the interaction and engagement inside that community just on their content went through the roof because there just weren't many people posting about rail engineering. We have another client that's a bricklayer in Melbourne. Same deal. There's not many bricklayers adding value and posting a lot of content that's helpful to the construction industry, and they are able to become a standout destination business on LinkedIn in the same sort of time frame, just because no one else is really posting that sector. So if you're in a narrow field or you specialize and there's not many other people doing what you do, LinkedIn is going to be one of those places where you probably see a really fast rate of return in terms of standing out and creating opportunities moving forward. So I want to start by separating the two paths that you might go down with LinkedIn, because you can build a company profile and set up a company page and share your projects, social proof, industry trends, and post to that. But then you've got your personal profile, and you've got to make a decision how you want to use both. And we have a number of clients that post the same content to their personal profile because they want to represent the business and be the human and the face and voice to that, but also post to the company profile so people go check out what's going on with the business. There's a nice thread and stream of content there for them to consume and build that trust transference. So step back with me, just like we've done in other episodes, and just think about, if you go on LinkedIn and you're creating content, who would you create it for? Is it for target clients? Is it a particular segment that you'd want to educate and add value to? Is it your colleagues or people generally working in your space because you want to build up your profile? And this is where it's a little bit different in that you want to build a network that caters to the type of content that you want to be posting and talking about. And of course, that can evolve and change over time. So I build my network, to give you some context, with people that we can help through the businesses, but also that are going to work in with my personal mission as a personal brand. So there's two sides to the table. But with the majority of clients we work with in our agency, we're looking to connect with people that we've got that business development relationship with. So there are other people that are key in other businesses and make decisions that they could be collaborating with on projects, works, partnerships, or joint ventures. And then when we write the content, we're writing it in a way that's going to appeal to their problems and share information that would appeal to them, because that's whose attention we're trying to capture. So there's a little bit of unpacking to do here. So you really need to understand your goal before you start creating content for LinkedIn. And then once you know what the goal is, you want to start building your network. So if you invest 20 to 30 minutes a week on LinkedIn connecting with people that would be a great fit for your audience, that's how you're going to build up your profile. And when you do post content and that shows up in the feed, your network are going to get the opportunity to see those posts as it comes out. So if you haven't got many connections, not as many eyeballs are going to get the opportunity to see what you're posting. Similarly with your business, if you've got a company page and you don't have many followers, it's a similar situation. So I'm going to explain a couple of basic strategies so you can build up both your profile, your company page as well, and then be positioned to start getting a compounding effect by being in the top 1% by just posting once a week or more to the LinkedIn platform. So there's a search section if you haven't been on LinkedIn recently, and you can type in a role that you'd want to connect with. So it could be a business owner, it could be a director, a manager, whoever you want to build in your network. And then when you search that, you'll have some filters. So you can start categorizing the local area. So if you want to connect with people, let's say you're in Melbourne, like I am, just people living and working out of Melbourne. And then you can also narrow down the industry. So if, let's say I wanted to focus on people in construction as an example, I can choose the construction industry and find, let's call it all the project managers in the construction industry in Melbourne, if they're my target audience. And I can then save that search and start connecting with all those project managers in that space. And that's how I can build up my target network. So you can do the exact same step, go, what role would I be looking to build my network in? If you work with a specific type of business owner, you would put business owner into the search. Then you choose the industry that those business owners are in, and then that location, and always start closest to home, in the closest proximity, because if there ever was an opportunity to meet up and that would be of value, then they're close by, and that's easy to do. And there's a little bit of trust when people know you're just down the road or in the same city. It tends to increase the connection rate. So you want to go to that search, connect with, let's say you send 100 connections a week. That doesn't take very long. You just go through the list and invite people to connect. You're probably going to find somewhere between 20 and 40% of those invitations accept. So each week you're getting 20 or 40 target people joining your network. And these are all opportunities to consume your content and receive value and start seeing you in a very different light. Now, how you do it from the company page perspective, you can only invite people in your network to follow the company page. So if you've set up a company page because you have a business and you're wanting to build that and grow it through the LinkedIn platform and market on there, you also want to make sure that the people you're connecting and adding to your personal network are the types of people you'd want following the company and can get value from what you do over there. And you'll get these credits every month from LinkedIn. Depending on the size of your network, it'll either start at 100 credits or you'll get up to 250. So every month you can invite people in your network to follow the company page. And again, you might get 30, 40% of those invitations accept. So every month you might be adding between 30 to 50 new company page followers that will get a chance to see the content that goes out onto your company page. So two sides to the table. So then's the actual content strategy in itself. And with LinkedIn, posting in the morning is the best time to share in our experience. And we will have dozens of posts every single day of the week go out on LinkedIn for our different clients. So we get to see this firsthand. Generally around 8 a.m. is a great time of the day to share content. So if you want a time that we've seen succeed, post your posts around that time in the morning. And then you want to have 3 to 5 hashtags, just like with the other strategies that are relevant to your post, that are going to allow you to get some exposure to other people in your industry that would be following those hashtags. So if people are looking up, let's say, construction news, or in my case, it might be looking up or following content marketing or content marketing tips. If I use those hashtags and people are searching for them, that'll show up in their LinkedIn feed and be sharing content on that. So you want to do the same thing when you put your posts up onto LinkedIn. Now, what types of content do you post into a professional network? Again, you want to understand your audience. You might be solving problems for them, so sharing tips and solutions. You might just want to be a source of data, and you might be sharing trends, information, news, and technology. You might do a hybrid where you keep the variety high, where you're solving problems, you're sharing industry news, you're doing examples of the clients and projects that you're working on to keep it fresh. So understand who your audience is and what's going to serve them. So I'll give the Brickett example. We know that his target audience is builders, and so we spoke to a lot of the challenges they have with contractors and experience with getting people on their site, delays, holdups, professionalism, quality, variations on quotes and proposals. So we started addressing all the different areas that when they bring, say, another bricklayer on board, they become challenges, and talking about how Brickett does it differently. So all of a sudden, builders and developers in that space are going, wow, Brickett, this bricklaying company, are addressing some of the concerns and issues we have with other bricklayers. Well, let's talk to them because they seem to understand it from our perspective. So that's an example of how we approached it with that particular business. With our client in the rail engineering space, we have a much wider scope. So we might share some of the crash investigations and derailments that they've gone and investigated. We talk about some of the emerging technology to test rolling stock, which is trains. We share industry events and news and things that they're contributing to. We bring their team in and go, hey, here's some of our engineers. We're a little bit different to your standard engineering type company, to have a little bit of fun and humanize it. So you want to understand, again, what message you want to convey in the market. Do you want to be that thought leadership space? Do you want to be trying to win work? So you're addressing problems and using social proof and building up your capabilities so people want to reach out and engage you? Or do you want to do a hybrid where you're ticking all the boxes? And then the other thing you also want to consider is, if you're using it for a business perspective, do you want to recruit and have people interested in joining your company at some stage in the future? Because then you might also be adding potential employees to your network, where you'll be searching for, let's say you're building an electrical business and you want to have more electricians on your team. You go search for electricians in Melbourne and you start connecting with them so they can see the projects and what you're working on to open up a recruitment opportunity down the track. So there's all these different paths that you can go to. But if we step back, and I've probably sent you off in all different directions with your thought process right now, just go, what would be my primary intention if I was to jump on LinkedIn today? Is it to build my business? Because then it's very clear what your next step would be. Add people who would be your target clients and start posting content that's going to solve problems and appeal to them and make you and your business seem like a destination place to get the solutions that they're after. If you're wanting to be a thought leader and educate and add value, you want to add people that are in your industry to your network, and you just want to share tips, ideas, news, trends, and technology, things that are emerging, so people see you as a source of valuable information and variety, which could lead to opportunities like guest appearances on podcasts, speaking, training, or even professional promotion and growth into other roles inside your industry. But I want to pivot now to give you some quick framework, because what happens when you get engagement on a LinkedIn post is that can get shown to someone else's network. So one of the strategies that we'll use, and I'll give you the framework for how we generally produce content for a client on LinkedIn in a business sense. We'll write a medium length post, and we'll have our 3 to 5 relevant hashtags to appear up in their industry searches. We'll have a visual, often including the team or a project they've worked on, occasionally with some branded text on it. But we often ask a question to promote comments, because if you can get multiple people in the industry interacting and engaging with the post, each time they do that, it actually can go onto their feed and say, hey, they've commented and reacted to whatever the content is, and you can actually infiltrate other networks. So the more engagement you can get with content on LinkedIn, it can get this ripple effect where you go across all these other professional networks that can be linked to yours. So it can be very, very powerful. So one of the strategies that I'd encourage you to do is write your post, but sign off by asking a question and asking people to comment and answer that question below. And you can do the same thing in videos, and you'll find that you can get a lot of impressions, a lot of reach, and a lot of relevant engagement, which simply increases the amount of attention and targeted eyeballs that you get when you post content. So if I was to summarize your action steps, if you're relatively new and want to go down the path of adding value on the LinkedIn platform, number one is set up your profile and make sure that it's tailored to the audience and the message that you want to create on LinkedIn. If you have a company or business, also set up a company page so you can start getting followers and putting content on there as well. Invite 100 people to connect with you a week, doing the search strategy that I said. So that means every time you post, more and more people are going to have the opportunity to see and interact with the content, which again can lead to that ripple effect. At least do one post, ideally a couple a week, so you can start building up your value and your positioning and social proof on the platform. Make sure you're asking for that engagement and comments so you can get lots of people in the industry interacting each time you post. And if you do those basics, you'll find that you can get really good reach on the LinkedIn platform, even if you have a relatively low base